record. Good morning, everyone. We'll give it another minute so everyone who is not here would have an opportunity to join.
And of course, we get good dog right away.
Absolutely. Couldn't see him there, Ben, but you know, just for a split second.
Okay. Pop up. Let's say hi to everybody.
There he is. There he is.
Hey. Come closer.
All
There
right.
we go.
Well,
okay.
I see that most people are with us here. So good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, October 15th. As we all know, October is a cybersecurity month. So our today's topic will be Microsoft Defender. Our speaker today is a good friend of WiscNet, Ben Dumke, who is a network and systems manager at Lawrence University. But of course, we all know that Ben is so much more to IT community in our state. I'm sure a lot of you heard him speak at a Brainstorm K20 conference or at our WiscNet Connections. Ben is a seasoned speaker, and we are excited and honored to have him presenting here today. A couple of housekeeping notes. This session will be recorded, and a copy or a link to the recording will be sent to everyone who registered for the event. And you can leave your questions in the chat, and we'll get to them in the end of this presentation. And with that, Ben, take it away.
All right. Well, first off, thank you everyone for taking the time to talk about security and Microsoft Defender today. Thank you, WiscNet, for hosting this event. As Ivor said, I am the Network and Systems Manager for Lawrence University in Appleton, Wisconsin. I'm also a board member for WiscNet and the Northeast Wisconsin chapter of AITP. It's a user group here in Wisconsin. I'm a member of the Wisconsin cyber response team and incident responder there. And yes, I apparently talk a lot about security, especially now. I also really like movies. So when Ivor and Michaela asked me to present, I'm like, this is a great opportunity. If you can see it, I'm wearing my Malware Finds a Way shirt. I thought I'd try and start off and have some fun with security. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that, Jurassic Park really has some good lessons about cybersecurity. Malware finds a way from the original quote of life finds a way. It's going to get into your systems. I was just read an article this morning about ArcGIS mapping software has had a vulnerability for over a year that hackers have been using and exploiting to get into systems. 7-Zip, I'm going to show this one in a little bit as part of a demo, has had vulnerabilities for months going out there. On the back of the shirt, you can't see it, but we spared no exploit. Also very applicable to cybersecurity. Hackers aren't just going to come in and try admin password. Oh, that didn't work. This guy's got great security. Let's move on to the next person, right? No, they're going to try hundreds, thousands of brute force attacks to get into your systems. They're going to run scripts against all of these vulnerabilities and exploits that are published. Windows 10 is end of life today. You know that there's going to be 0 days out there that people have just been holding on to, waiting for this moment because people haven't upgraded Windows yet. The actual line of Jurassic Park, we spared no expense, also really applies well to cybersecurity. Organizations, leaders, and unfortunately, sometimes even IT leaders think that they can spend their way out of a cybersecurity incident, or the idea that if we just buy Defender or CrowdStrike or some other tool, or if we just do this one thing, if we eliminate all of our Windows desktops and we just go to Chromebooks, we'll have security solved. And that's just not the way security works. Um, Security is not a destination, it's a journey. It's something that you need to continually uh, revamp, revise, audit, and continue to improve on. So I know I said I was going to start with trying to have some fun, and this really went south fast, um, because security isn't always fun. These are some questions I've been asked. Admin rights. Can I install this free version of some software I got off the internet? Um, legacy or legit PDF converter, definitely not malware.com. How come that site's blocked? I just want to create a PDF file, right? Access to student medical data. These are all types of things that are out there that in my career, I've been asked myself. You probably have been too. And this is what a good day in security looks like, is, having to say no or having to deal with these things. Because this is what a bad day looks like. Coming in and nobody can log into your machines because they're all encrypted, or seeing a text file that has social security numbers and financial data of your employees and a ransom saying, hey, if you don't give us this amount of money in Bitcoin, we're going to release this information. So what are the things that we can do? Trying to get out of this little tailspin, walk back from the cybersecurity cliff here, and thinking about what are the things that can mitigate some of these issues, and help with getting some things under control with that. So a few slides just in security in general. This is from another session I've done in the past. I've done this a few times, talking about things like safeguarding your accounts. Audit your account access. Do people have too many rights to things? Are there other options there? Do you have onboarding and offboarding policies? Multi-factor authentication and conditional access. These are two things that, dealing with CRT, and when we have incident response, one of the first questions we always ask is, does this account have MFA, or do these systems have MFA? Account and password management. Do you have strong password policies in place? Are you blocking well-known passwords and verifying things? And then, of course, blocking email-based attacks. We'll show a little bit of that with Defender, but we know 90% of attacks start with an email. Safeguarding your devices. Obviously, Microsoft Defender, the root of it is antivirus and EDR system. So having that, but not just having antivirus, having those things talking with each other, having the systems talking with each other so that you can make informed decisions and see not just your antivirus, but see what other exploits, maybe what other systems are out there. Installing updates. It's, Patch Tuesday yesterday. Obviously, your operating system needs to be updated, but not just those things, your applications. As I mentioned right off the bat, having ArcGIS and 7-Zip having vulnerabilities that need to be updated. Also, your drivers and firmware. And we'll see how Defender can help with that kind of stuff. And then blocking malicious content. I know most of you are K-12. I spent 20 years in K-12. Blocking content was, something that we had to do all the time. But this is more about blocking sites that are malicious, blocking sites that attackers use, command and control sites, things to just keep those devices safe and make it more difficult, more roadblocks, more speed bumps for threat actors and attackers. Finally, safeguarding your infrastructure. Things like managing your cloud services. Do you have the ability to know if 10 gigs of your student management database just went from your IS Corp or your on-prem servers or wherever you're hosting that out to Dropbox? Can you get alerts on that? Managing sensitive data. Do you have ways of looking at things like, oh, when you do this export, are you cleaning up that data? Or are you marking it for deletion? Your third-party risks, things like your vendors, understanding when those accounts are not being used, and other things. Cybersecurity training and incident response plan, those are just kind of lumped in here with infrastructure, but cybersecurity training is part of Defender. We have options for that, and we'll talk a little bit about their attack simulation and some of the training videos that they have available. All of this really boils together into one of my favorite slides here, the "This is fine" meme. It really encapsulates cybersecurity and my feelings about it. This is really about awareness. And one of the things that I found Defender does very well for organizations is it generates that awareness. Seeing the inventory, seeing all the devices that you have, seeing all the software that you have, seeing what threats are out there, knowing what vulnerabilities you have with your items so that you know how to protect those things. And then also seeing like what those consequences would be. You can't always manage, you can't always eliminate all of the risk that you have, but these are things that you can look at and make educated and informed decisions on what to do next. So with that, jumping into Defender. So first off, one of the things, I'm not going to talk about a lot about licensing. There are different licensing packs, mainly the A3 and A5 licensing for Microsoft. You can add Defender on as some additional add-ons. There's the A5 security bundle. If you really want some good information on that, M365 Maps does a great job of listing everything out. You can see all the features. You can see what's included in each one of these bundles. You can also see the documentation. All the links for every feature goes right to learn.microsoft.com. So getting into specifically Defender, I'm going to start off with Secure Score. Secure Score is, as I have on the slide, it's just a representation of your security posture. It shows you where you rank on a scale of 0 to 100. It also compares you to similar organizations. It is not an absolute. It is not a, this means that you are, in this case, 17% better than somebody else. It is just a representation of where you're at and what options you have to move forward on. It leads to recommendations that you have, and we'll show that on the next screen with the dashboard. But it allows you to really, as I just said, make those informed decisions about your organization and what changes you can make. This is the dashboard for that. So it'd give you a little bit better idea. You have things like a breakdown by the identity, by devices, by apps. In the center of the screen there, we have those top improvement recommendations. They're organized by the impact that they'd have. And you can go in, click on those links, and see exactly what the impact is, what the recommendations are, why the recommendations are being made, and what devices would be affected by that as well. So let's take a look quickly at that. One really important thing is this user impact. So it looks at your systems the past 45 days, and it will tell you how many people would be affected by this if you turn this instance on. So in this case, this is 35% of your people would have, or 65% of your people would be impacted by this control. Gives you the remediation options, tells you exactly what you need to do, shows the links, making sure Defender antivirus is turned on and is primary. Ensure that this rule is in block mode, and you can use that with Intune, group policy, or some other device management system. And then you also have the exposed devices. So you would click on that and it would show all the devices in your organization that are not configured this way. Defender for Endpoints also has vulnerability management. So there's a dashboard for that. Similar to the Secure Score recommendations, this one talks specifically about vulnerabilities in your software that you have installed. It gives you the remediations, which sometimes are as simple as just upgrade your software. It shows you inventories of everything. It shows you the weaknesses that are out there, and it also gives you an event timeline of when this software showed up. So one of the things in our organization, when we moved to Defender and we started utilizing it, we found a piece of software that was installed that still had Log4j vulnerabilities on our systems. So that was one thing that we would have had no idea that this software still had that Log4j component out there if it wasn't for Defender in this case. You can also sign up in settings for notifications. There's an example of the email that you would get. So CVEs for Mozilla Firefox. This gives you that awareness again, lets you know when you need to update things and what systems are out there. You can email that to all of your help desk people as well. And it also gives you those links to those security recommendations so you can make those, again, informed decisions and have that awareness. So Defender for Endpoint, I was just talking about this with 7-Zip and taking a peek at, this was one of the examples that I had saved. We'll just play through this video here. So this is a software inventory. Looking at 7-Zip, you can see how many devices are out there. It gives you the exposed devices over time, so that history. Looking at the security recommendation, again, not very helpful. Update 7-Zip, right? It shows you what the rankings are of the CVEs. We're going to look at the vulnerabilities next. So you can click on those CVEs, read all about what could possibly happen with what an attacker could use with this vulnerability. You can see when it was published and all that information there. The exposed devices and related software. If the CVE affects any other piece of software that's in your system, you would see that here. And again, here's the same information for the other vulnerability. Installed devices, again, you can see what machines have this piece of software on. This is really useful as well. Version distribution shows you all of the information that is there. So version 19, version 20, in this case, when we installed this, we had about 300 on each. And at this time, we had about 40 some that were on the current version. And then event timeline, you'll see when that actually shows up. So the thing I wanted to call out in this is the text that I have on the left. 7-Zip just announced, I think Saturday, that they published a version 25 back in July. They only just now announced that there was a significant security breach that would allow attackers to send a specially crafted zip file. And if you opened it up, attackers would have control of whatever system that was opened up on. So if you haven't updated 7-Zip, this has been since July. It was, I don't know how long it was before that, the previous version that was vulnerable, but it's been at least months. So again, as I started off with, malware finds a way. It doesn't matter what systems you have or how much you can do. If you were running a version of 7-Zip that was vulnerable for this long. And then this is just a final report page. I just grabbed this screenshot today or last night to show here is that update of we have our patching software in place. We already have reports showing that we're up to date on almost all of our machines. I have 5 machines that I need to go out and find out why they didn't update yet. So again, having that awareness of what vulnerabilities are there, what threats are on your systems, is just one of the things that I find Defender does very, very well for us. Talking about inventory now. This is a screenshot looking at a specific device. You can see risk level is high, exposure level is medium. You can go in, look at the incidents and alerts, look at the recommendations. You can see the people that are logging in, when this device was first seen on your network, the last time it showed up on the network. You can get a bunch of information about the device, like browser extensions. Browser extensions are kind of the new thing that people want to go after. We're constantly hearing about malicious extensions or extensions that grant too many permissions and so on. So this is a one way in Defender. You can actually track what extensions are getting installed on your systems. You can also see firmware. Firmware is another piece that was rolling out. So if your devices, if there's vulnerabilities in your firmware, you can see, get those versions and see about updating that as well. Finally, incidents and alerts in this panel or in this dashboard. When something does happen, you can see what things might have happened on there. And we'll have this video here. So this is a test that I did installing uTorrent on a machine, just to show this is the information that you would get when a threat comes through. So in Defender, gives you that alert, unwanted uTorrent, unwanted software. You can see if there are multiple machines in this case, maybe it's malware that's spreading through your system. You would see all the machines that may have been targeted on that. Information on when this first came in, seeing what the alert is. Looking through here gives you the complete timeline of everything that was happening. Explorer, run DLL, uTorrent installer, and up to the point where Defender blocked it and stopped that from getting installed on that system. Assets, you can see what assets it may have been affected. Investigations. So you can look to see, is this on anything else? Maybe it's on other machines. So you can search for other information, see if that executable has been on other devices in your network. And then you have your summary page where you can also manage the incident. So you can put tags in. For example, I'll put test in here for this. You can change the status to closed. You can assign it to members of your IT staff to investigate or follow up on. Set what classification. There's a whole bunch of options here. Malicious user activity, unwanted software, phishing attack, and then put some additional notes in there if you need to. So all ways that you can help manage your systems and add on to the security systems that you have. Moving on to talk about Defender for Office 365 is built off of the Exchange Online protections. And this is primarily dealing with spam and email and things like that. But it also deals with Office, Teams, and SharePoint. So a few of the really unique features that Office has or Defender for Office has is impersonation protection. So for example, ben@contoso.com, if that is my email address, my work email, ben@gmail tries sending in, an email in and impersonating me, those emails will get blocked or go to quarantine. Mailbox intelligence, it really goes through and analyzes who you have communications with. And I'll show in a couple of slides some examples of that. But this is where you get warnings for your users of, hey, you've never gotten an email from this person. Maybe you should be careful about it. Or this email looks like it's coming from somebody that you communicate with, but it's a little different. So just again, those roadblocks, those speed bumps that maybe slow things down, maybe get your users to think a little bit before they click on a link or open an attachment. Safe links is another really nice feature that Defender for Office has. What this does is it if an email is allowed in with a URL, and I'm an attacker, so I'm going to wait until maybe Friday night and blast out a bunch of emails for people so that they're all waiting there Monday morning when everyone comes into the office. I'm not going to put anything malicious on that website, on that URL that it's pointing to, so that it gets past those scanners and anything out there. I'll wait for that confirmation that stuff is delivered, and then go and weaponize that website. Now, most scanners will say, "Hey, we checked this site. It looks good. Okay, fine," and never think about it again. All of these things are in here. All of these emails are in your mailboxes across your tenant. SafeLink does time of click protection, which I come in Monday morning, I look at that email and I'm like, oh yes, I better click on this link. It actually will stop and intercept that URL click at that point and check the website and make sure that it's safe. And if it finds that there's malicious activity or some of those signature things that might happen with a virus, it blocks it and then starts that process of removing that and looking for other emails of that nature in your tenant. Safe attachments, similar technology. This will detonate files in a virtual environment. There's a couple of ways to do this. One, you can do this, it slows the email down so you don't have that instant delivery. It doesn't deliver anything until it checks it and runs through all of this stuff. You can also deliver the email without the attachment, which might be confusing for people. Like when you get an email and saying, hey, here's this attachment I need you to look at, and there's no attachment there because it's being checked out in with antivirus on that. So that's different settings that you can use for it, depending on what your comfort level is. But what this really does is it runs that, opens that file, looks for it to do any virus-like things, like does it try to write to registries? Does it try to download something else? Does it make a connection out to the internet? So even if there's not an actual signature for whatever this virus might be, and it might pass other virus checks, the system can still block it because it's doing things that it thinks are virus-like. Zero-hour auto purge is a really nice feature that can either start manually or automatically. So when you do see one of these viruses come in, when something or a malicious email, phishing email comes into your systems, this will actually go through and initiate investigations and can automatically go in and delete emails out of those tenants even after they've been deleted. And even from people reporting spam, like, hey, we got this gift card thing. Nope, that's phishing, not going to do anything. That can trigger your systems to go and clean up any other similar emails like that. And finally, attack simulation training. This is one thing for us, it saved us money. We eliminated our other SANS training and phishing emails and things like that. So you can send out basic phishing emails. There's 100 or so training videos on various topics, things like spotting suspicious emails, things to do with shared computers in an environment, and so on. Again, just one of those things that's included in the system. It works well enough. We found that it's fine. Just one thing that can help save you some cost and eliminate some of the complexity in your environment. With Exchange Online, again, with Defender for Office 365, another feature that is available is the Configuration Analyzer. And what this does is has some preset settings that Microsoft recommends for Exchange. There's two basic settings, standard and strict. And it just looks at your environment and says, all right, we recommend that you should send emails to quarantine as opposed to junk folder. We recommend that your spam filter should be set to 6 instead of 7, and so on. And then there's also the configuration drift and analysis and history. So if you have multiple admins that are working on your systems, you can mark who made a change and when they made it and why. This is what that configuration analyzer looks like. So a couple of the options there, recommendations, quarantining messages, like I mentioned, bulk email threshold changing from 7 to 6, quarantine retention policy changing that from 15 to 30. And just like other recommendations, when you click on those links, it gives you the full explanation. It has links to learn.microsoft.com, so you have that official documentation. Spam response. So have a spam email, you found it, we want to get rid of it. Go through, we selected all of them, and these are the responses that you have. We can move or delete the email. So check that. We'll hard delete these items. We want to submit it to Microsoft for review, confirm that it's a threat, that it's malware. This gives us the option to add some signature, some unique thing to it, to the allow block lists. And in this case, there's like 70 some emails I selected, so I'm just selecting one of the URLs that was included in there. And then also initiate a investigation. So this will actually go out and look for other emails similar to this. This is just one of the threats that we had, a school district that was compromised and was sending out some share link documents. So-and-so shared a link with you or shared a document with you. And we got this attack. The next day we got another one. And because we had already done this, the attack the following day already had about half of them blocked. So, and then you get the final response on that. 75 were submitted, they're getting deleted, and they'll just get removed out of people's mailboxes at that time. A couple examples of the mailbox intelligence that are out there. So these are some of the warnings that people would see when you have some people don't often get email from this person, with some additional links there. The other example down below, Kathleen at Fabricam. This appears similar to someone who sent you email, but it may not be that person. So again, just additional ways to help protect users, protect that mailbox, and help keep people safe when they're online. Looking at web protection. This is another feature of Defender that, as I mentioned at the start, blocking malicious content. This is a way that web browsing works in Edge, Chrome, Firefox, even works in PowerShell. Attackers will use PowerShell scripts to go out and download their tools onto your systems. So this is another way that can disrupt this. It does have a basic content filter, not something that I'd recommend for K-12, but you can look at things like that reputation, things that blocking malware and other exploits. So what that actually looks like and how that works is the user clicks on a link, and depending on whether it's Edge, Chrome, or Firefox, the process is basically the same, just the techniques are a little bit different. uses Smart Screen if it's a Microsoft browser, or uses network protection if it's Chrome or Firefox, sends that to the Smart Screen cloud service where it evaluates that URL and then makes a determination on whether or not to block it or allow it. On Edge and Microsoft browsers, you get a relatively nice, that red screen that you see up there gives you a warning that this site may not be safe. You can configure whether or not you want to allow the site or if you want it to be blocked. On Chrome and Firefox, it's not that nice of a screen. It basically just says, can't provide a connection. Your connection is blocked. It doesn't give you a lot of information yet at this point. Going in, if you get that report, user calls up, says, hey, I got this block screen. What's going on with this? Here's the dashboard. You can go in and look at that security center and see, okay, yep, here's Chrome. Here's the website that they went to. Smart Screen Test Ratings 2.net was blocked as malicious. So you can have that and report back and say, well, Microsoft thought this was a bad site. We're going to go in and we'll see if we can see what actually the deal is with that. One of the biggest things that Defender can help with is attack surface reduction rules. Attack surface reduction rules is one of the most important tools that you can use to help defend your systems. Very powerful, also very risky. You have options for blocking those scripts, blocking a lot of behaviors. It looks for all of that abnormal, risky stuff that's out there, and really allows you to lock your systems down very, very securely. It does take a lot of planning. Defender makes recommendations. Going back to the original screen that was of the recommendations, that was one of the ASR rules, blocking content in Office. And you saw in that example, it showed 35% of your organization would not be affected by that, which means almost 2/3 of your people would be affected by making those changes. So it's not something you just want to turn on and just kind of say, hey, let's see what this does. There's audit modes. So you absolutely want to start with that first. That can assess that impact, looking at adding exclusions for different groups, starting off with a small test group, for example. When you enable the rules, you can also have things like block and warn mode. So it'll warn and say, hey, this is something that could be dangerous. It may be blocked in the future. And obviously, like I said right at the start, security is something that needs to continuous assessment. You need to continually revise and revamp what you're doing, and think about what changes and what challenges you might have in your environment. Not all of these rules may work for you. You may not be able to implement all of them. And then there's monitoring with the attack surface reduction reporting. So you can see what things are getting tripped by these tools. A couple examples of those rules: blocking Office from creating child processes, blocking Adobe Reader from creating child processes. Reader is one of the things that we turned on right away. Defender showed us that nobody would be affected by this. Okay, easy win, turn this on, don't have to worry about it anymore. Blocking executable content from email. So even if something comes through, it's still not going to run from that. Blocking executables if they're not in an approved list or part of this trusted criterion. Maybe you block something if it's really old. Working in higher ed, we find things that are very, very old. This is not something that would work well for us. We'd have a really tough time implementing that. So those are, some of those examples of why that needs to be tested. Blocking stuff off USB sticks. That's a great way, hey, taking a file, I plug it in, plug my USB stick on my home machine. That's infected because I don't have updated software there. I bring it to work, plug it in on my work machine, and whatever's on there is blocked because of rules like this. Um, So moving on from that, a newer feature that Defender has added, I think in the last 8 months or so, within the last year at least, automatic attack disruption. This is also really powerful and can really help your organization if you are under attack and have somebody in your system trying to move laterally, trying to infect other machines, and so on. When a device sees um, unknown devices or connections from unknown devices or weird communication, the machine can shut that down, turn off those ports, block that content or block that connection, but still keep other services up and running. Maybe your DHCP or DNS servers are on your system and somebody's trying to get in, trying to remote into them or things like that. DHCP and DNS can continue to run, but other systems, these other connections are turned off. As far as users go, preventing lateral movement, preventing malware use, blocking RDP connections. So if maybe you have a user that is trying to remote into other machines across your network, this is something that this automatic attack disruption can see and prevent and lock that account down and prevent anything from happening or spreading too far. Talking through a couple of the other Defender suites, Defender for Identity. There is, this basically covers your accounts. So things like monitoring your suspicious logins, impossible travel, unusual travel. So we frequently have people logging in from all over the world. Lawrence has a pretty strong international student following, so this is something that becomes difficult for us, but we can see things like impossible travel. So if somebody is logging in at our Appleton campus and then an hour later they're trying to log in from Germany, that's something that just can't happen. And Defender for Identity can recognize that. We can put rules in that say, all right, we're not going to allow that, or we're going to force an MFA check, or possibly reset somebody's password or lock their account automatically if the attack is egregious enough. You also have attack timeline. So when people, if an attack happens and if there's some success with getting access to that account, we can go back through and look to see, here is when they started logging in. Here is all of the things that they did, everything that they got into, email, this system, that system, etc. It also integrates with Active Directory. So you can monitor your inactive accounts. You can monitor accounts that maybe have too many rights. One of the examples that I used at the start is you have your third-party vendors. You may not know that, hey, John, your HVAC vendor, left your HVAC company and has taken another job. But you created an account for him so that he could remote in and work with your facilities folks to help monitor and fix issues and things like that. Defender for Identity can help you with monitoring that and show, hey, this account has these rights. It hasn't been used in 6 months. So you can go out and check that, follow up. HR, maybe they don't let you know that somebody has left, or maybe you have other consultants that are working on a project and the project is done and you forget to disable their accounts. Also helps you with things like accounts that belong to a lot of groups that might be a security breach, and gives you those reminders of saying, hey, verify this. This is an account that seems to have a lot of access. you should look at this and maybe review what's going on with that. Defender for Cloud Apps, another nice feature, a nice piece of software that helps you manage and maintain all of the cloud apps, all of these services out there. Quite frankly, anybody can go in and all they need is a credit card to get a system, spin something up, and you would have no idea that that's out there. You don't have any way of verifying that the system is reliable or anything like that. Defender for Cloud Apps helps with that. It can discover those SaaS apps that are in use and show you what stuff is being transferred. The example I use, data exfiltration. You don't always need, attackers don't always need to get domain admin access. If they can get access to somebody's account that has clearances, that has authorization to see student data, and they can just download the database. Defender for Cloud Apps will show that type of information. It'll show that, hey, at 3 a.m., somebody uploaded 10 gigs of data to Dropbox. That's not something that's normal, right? So you can see those alerts, you can see what's happening. It is a bit of a challenge, I will admit, in schools in K-12. We will see this spike in May all the time as the school year is winding down and all the students are trying to transfer out all of their files. At Lawrence, we're obviously a lot of music, a lot of movie and things like that. So those are very large files. So that makes it a little difficult to see what's real traffic and what isn't in this case. But it's still just good information to have. Another nice feature of Defender for Cloud Apps is the Cloud Security Posture Management. That is a system that goes in, it looks at the reputation of these vendors and tells you, hey, this vendor, they will sell your information at the drop of a hat. So any data or anything that you put in there, consider that to be, basically just out in the up for sale or anything like that. So you get some of that value there to know whether or not this is something that you should trust or use. And then also the last thing is reporting unused apps. So as you go through and look at these things, maybe somebody signs up for an app. Hey, we really need this. Okay, great. It's a good app. That's fine. It gets used. This person leaves, they move on, they retire, whatever, and nobody else picks up the app. Well, Defender for Cloud Apps can show that and they can say, hey, this app hasn't been used in 6 months. You have data out here. You need to do something about it. And it also warns about that inter-app data exchange. So if you're moving data from one app A to app B, it gives you that information as well. So that is everything that I have. Some highlights of the important features that I use on a regular basis with Defender. Some of the stuff that isn't just the antivirus and just that basic cleanup. And to recap, one of the things that I feel is really great about Defender is that it reduces that complexity. Prior to using Defender, when we'd get an alert, we'd be looking at our antivirus system, we'd be looking at email, we'd be looking at the system itself, we'd be looking in 2-3 different places. And it would just really slow things down. We reduced costs. We eliminated quite a bit of stuff. We're looking at eliminating our antivirus software that we're using outside of Defender and saving us thousands of dollars a year with these other licenses. Mentioned it improves our response time. When we see these things, we can go in and in just a couple of minutes wipe out emails that are affecting everyone on the campus. And then it improves our awareness. We absolutely would not be in the position that we're in security-wise without Defender, without it showing us additional information, without it showing us what things we can and can't do to improve our security. And with that, I know we'll have the links provided in when the recap is sent out. But I have a few links here, documentation, the Microsoft Ninja training, the Ninja Cat training is excellent stuff, usually very small, like 5-10 minute bites of training. Nathan McNulty has some excellent blogs on security in general. He has a really good one on the ASR rules and how to implement them on his site. And just a couple of other things with the incident response playbooks. If you don't have incident response settings or anything like that, there's a link for that. It is obviously tailored for Microsoft, but just general things like what to do if an email account is compromised. All the different things to check there. So with that, I think we have a little bit of time for questions, about 10 minutes or so. So I did a good job rushing through. What do we have for questions?
That's correct. And while we are waiting for hopefully some questions from attendees, a reminder that this webinar will be shared with everyone who registered. And yes, Ben provided us with some additional information, and all the links will be included in that email as well. All right, and we're ready for questions. Put them in chat or unmute. Feel free to unmute and ask your question as well. Well, I hear no questions. And Ben, I just want to mention that your dog did not interrupt once, just said hi in the very beginning of the webinar.
He's sleeping on the bed behind me in his little doggy
All
bed.
right.
He's got one eye open. He's
One-
sometimes a good pup.
One more quick thing for everyone on the call. Our next Teach and Learn will be our annual end of the year platform update with our engineers, and it'll be on December 3rd. So keep an eye out for that registration email as well. But if there are no questions, then we'll wrap things up a little early. Thank you so much, Ben, for joining us today and talking about Microsoft Defender. We know that you have a busy next couple days, so thank you so much for carving out the time to talk to our members about Defender.
Not a problem.
All right.
Thank you very much.
And everyone will
All right.
receive that email probably within the next week with the recording and links. So everyone have a great rest of your Wednesday.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.